This is TWiT.
Google is very much in the news today. In fact, the biggest story really should be in the changelog, but I'm not going to bury the lead here. This morning, I got up early and signed up for Passkeys. Google has turned on Passkeys for your Google accounts. This is the new passwordless technology that the FIDO Alliance has been rolling out. Google, Apple, many other companies, kind of saying they support it. So, yeah, and what you do, if you go to your Google account, first you have to pay for Wired. Then you go to your Google account, which, as you know, I have paid for, but I still get this no matter what. Let me go to google.com/ what is it, my account, security. I'll try security.
Security.
We keep your personal information. Oh, they're going to make me log in. Nope, they're not. Okay. Your account is protected. If I go into the security settings, it will say and you can see, you can show this. There's nothing to hide. I added a passkey at 6:09 this morning. And, you already recognized it, it says. Well, so I don't care. I want to see it. New passkey added to your account. If you didn't add passkey, somebody may be using your account, iPhone. So now my iPhone is my Google login. And all I have to do when I want to log into Google is do the biometrics on the iPhone, in this case, Face ID, and I'm logged in. No password required, no second factor required. And a number of people have said, do you really want that? This isn't that new because I notice I have other passkeys. I have a total of 4 passkeys on my account, and the reason being, and look at this. I guess I do have to still do a password. So the reason being, when I got my Google Pixel and my Samsung, they kind of were added as the single sign-on masters of my account. So, but some people complain that the issue is, what if you lose your phone?
Right.
I think the best
That's one issue I had, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, don't.
Because
do they have like recovery codes?
Yes.
Yeah,
you have all the same. You're not giving up any of the other ways you had to log into Google.
Okay. So you still
adding
have a password to your account, right?
Yeah, you still have all of that stuff. But the risk if you lost your phone and it wasn't locked or somebody could figure out your screen, and of course the Wall Street Journal's been going crazy over this. I don't know how legit it is that, oh my God, people are shoulder surfing you, getting your login and then stealing your life, and they have like 3 people this happened to. I don't think it's that common.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even have to say it. Thank you, Ant.
Yeah,
didn't even have to say it.
Or if you stole my phone with it unlocked, like I unlocked it and then I put it down on the bar and then you just snarfed it and kept it unlocked. Well, at that point, but see, you still need the Face ID. When I go to Google, it's still going to do the Face ID.
Shoulder surfing?
Shoulder surfing my passcode to get into the phone.
Like looking over your shoulder to see the...
Yeah, you've never heard that phrase? Yeah.
No, that's...
yeah, that's why, well, you can thank shoulder surfing for the dots that you always get when you're trying to enter a password and you can't see what you're entering. Sense. That's to prevent shoulder surfing.
So if I'm logging into my Gmail account on the web on my computer, what the process for me then looks like, I then pick up my phone and...
Well, that's always been here. Yeah. You've probably seen that when you go to your Google account, after you enter the password, the 2-factor can also be logged into your phone. You've seen that, right? Yeah.
I have 2-factor on my...
Right.
So I'm just trying to figure out what the normal
this eliminates that
experience with this is.
I think that will eliminate the password part. So I've been trying it in different ways. It did not happen here. One of the ways, on one of my systems, I got a QR code, which I then had to use on the passkey-enabled device to enable the new device. But I notice here that they want my
QR code with your iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's in theory how Passkeys would work if you went. So let's say you sign up for the Macy's site. It could show you a QR code, which you would then use your passkey. Your phone is now your passkey, right? Your phone has this passkey store, and you would then scan the QR code. The phone would do Face ID or Touch ID, and Macy's would let you in without a password. That's the idea.
Is that the equivalent of doing sign in with Google? So Google's going to now know exactly where I'm signing in if I sign in with
that's an interesting the privacy question. I didn't even think of that.
Right. Is it stored on device or is this cloud-based? That was my question.
So not all passkeys go through Google.
Okay.
Passkeys is not a Google thing. It's a FIDO Alliance thing.
Right. But if Google is running...
No, in fact, even when I log in with passkeys to Google, iCloud stores the key, not Google. So the device stores the key. And Apple does not know what I have in my passkeys storage. No, that would violate the whole process. That's a secure.
So basically, Google's now allowing this passkey to be used to sign into its sites.
Yes, and if you use a Google phone, it's a secure enclave on the Google phone, but it doesn't get passed on to Google, I don't think. No. I'm sure it doesn't.
Got it.
That would mean it's not secure. It'd be stupid.
May I add something here?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, if you think Mastodon is complicated.
Guess what? No. That's not it. That's not it. Guess why I'm mad. Guess why Jeff is mad.
Oh, because you have a worksheets account, whatever it's called. Workplace account.
Oh, right.
And does it not work with that?
No. Oh. And so it says, well, see, you're administrator. Well, I'm the administrator. Where's Amir? And then I go and I try to search for workplace or whatever the hell it's called this week and passkey, and there's nothing. There's not like even out of luck, sucker, or wait, or nothing. I'm the second-class citizen again, Google.
So
something like this seems like it should roll out to workspace first before rolling out to the regular folks like me, right?
Right. In fact, at our school, Ant, we were not compliant, and everybody in the whole school had to do two-factor so we could be compliant with Google's standards for higher security. And so what they have is on what they would, I guess, argue are lower standards now. Pisses me off, Google.
Are you Stacey, are you eating a sponge or is it just a really big cookie? I'm sorry, that was mean. All right, back to passkeys. So long, this is the Google blog, Google security blog post. So long passwords, thanks for all the fish. Little tip of the hat to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Starting today, you can create and use passkeys on your personal, not workspace, personal Google account. When you do, Google will not ask you for your password or two-step verification when you sign in. In a way, this is like a YubiKey or a hardware security key. The difference is with the hardware security key, I can have you should have a backup key in the safe at home or somewhere secure. So if you lose the one key, you still got the backup key. Passkeys, they say, are a more convenient and safer alternative to passwords. They work on all major platforms and browsers. And this is the mechanics. Allow users to sign in by unlocking their computer or mobile device with their fingerprint, face recognition, or a local PIN. So now it's a passkey in the sense that device is like a security key. It's the passkey.
And I guess the transition from old device to new device will be fairly seamless as long as you still have your original password.
Yeah. So when I set this up on the iPhone.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, when I set this is a big issue. When I set this up on the iPhone, Google said, okay, your iCloud secure enclave now has the key. So that's up to Apple now to give me a way to migrate that. And
I
don't think I think this is a little complicated, to be honest. I think Apple will let you export it to or move it to another Apple device, but I don't think they have a mechanism for moving it to an Android device. Now, I don't. Yeah, right. And forgive me if I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, please correct me.
Oh, they will.
Yeah, no, I know. But we've been talking about this. No, this started months ago, right, with Apple's announcement and Google's announcement. And we've been talking about it in security now. We've talked about it on this show, and it's still a little fuzzy. It says, unlike passwords, passkeys can only exist on your devices. Again, this is Google. They cannot be written down or accidentally given to a bad actor. When you use a passkey to sign into your Google account, it proves to Google you have access to your device and are unable to unlock it. Together, this means that passkeys protect you against phishing, right? Because a bad guy doesn't have your device or the passkey. and any accidental mishandling that passwords are prone to, such as being reused or exposed in a data breach. So that's the good news. This is stronger. This is what Google says, and I don't know if I agree with this. This is stronger protection than most two-factor methods offer today, which is why we allow you to skip not only the password, but also the second factor when you use passkeys. In fact, passkeys are strong enough they can stand in for security keys for our advanced protection program. That's quite interesting. That's the program Google offers to members of Congress and other high value targets. To extra protection, you have to have 2 hardware keys. It's a very, you lose a lot of functionality. So this is, I guess if you believe all this, this is good. Creating a passkey on your Google account makes it an option for sign-in. This is important. Existing methods, including your password, will still work in case you need them. For example, when using devices that don't support passkeys yet. So really, you could still fail back to the old way. Passkeys are still new, and it will take some time before they work everywhere. However, creating a passkey today still comes with security benefits, as it allows us to pay closer attention. Oh, that's interesting, to the sign-ins that fall back to passwords. So maybe that's a signal. Maybe this isn't the most secure. Maybe we should take a look at this. Over time, we'll increasingly, now this you could take 2 ways. Over time, we will increasingly scrutinize password logins as passkeys get broader support and familiarity. They're kind of in a way doing what Google often does, which is, we are so anxious that you move to this more secure method, we're going to start deprecating or being suspicious of the old method.
Right.
And they are clear. They say that Google does not in any way get access to this information. And I think that's the case with Apple as well.
When I first saw this news, the first thing that came to my mind was, if I go to log into my Google account on a different laptop here at the house, it does the little send a notification to
that's the single
device
sign-on thing. Yeah.
And I'm like, dang it. And it always sends it to some other device.
To get up
never
and go
to the phone that's right here.
So Apple gets heat for doing the opposite. It sends it to every device, including the device you're using to log in at this moment.
Right.
It says, is that you? Yes, it's me. So I don't know what the right answer is on that.
Good security, Ant, means you have to walk around your house.
Exactly.
I'm
like, dude, man, that thing's in the car and it's sending it to the car. And,
the other
annoying.
thing about passkeys is you can create a passkey for every device. So you can, in theory, have a passkey on all your devices, so you don't have to go up and get any device.
Okay. Well, that I feel better now.
In addition,
Scooter
Google's,
X says,
yes, go ahead.
He says that you'll be able to store, manage, and use your passkeys in 1Password, which would help with the moving from device to device. I don't know if that was
1Password has announced support for this. I imagine all password managers will eventually. There's a little caveat there, because
I was about to say, if we're still into the password.
Yeah, well, it also, of course, this is their way of staying current. But how do you get the passkey into 1Password? Since it's living in my secure enclave on my phone, this requires Apple to allow you to export it. And currently they don't. They allow you to move it, but not export it. I don't know. There's a lot of questions. This stuff is brand new. For example, if you create, this is again Google. In addition, some platforms securely back your passkeys up and sync them to other devices you own. For example, if you create a passkey on your iPhone, that passkey will be available on your other Apple devices as long as you're on the same iCloud account. That's why they call it an iCloud passkey, because it's stored in the secure enclave in iCloud. This protects you from being locked out of your account if you lose a device. And it makes it easier for you to upgrade. So when I get a new iPhone, in theory, the passkey is in the cloud and will be passed over to that. I think that still lives in the secure hardware enclave on the device, but I think it's copied from iCloud somehow. If you want to sign in on a device for the first time, a new device, or temporarily use somebody else's device, you can use a passkey stored on your phone to do so. You want to know how? On a new device, you just select...
I don't know, because I'm left out of it, but go ahead.
So your Pixel isn't on your personal account?
My personal account is my Google work account, because that's how I could use Buzz Machine.
Got it. On the new device, you just select the option to use a passkey from another device and follow the prompts. That's interesting. So that's more like what you're used to, Ant, where you sign into Google and then it says, oh, go get your Pixel.
Yeah.
You can manually tell it, I want to do that, but it doesn't. This does not automatically transfer the passkey to the new device. It only uses your phone's screen lock and proximity. So you do have to go get it and put it next to it. I guess it's using Bluetooth LE or something to approve a one-time sign-in. If the new device supports storing its own passkeys, we can then ask separately, oh, you want to make one on the new device. So eventually, I guess the premise is all your devices will have the passkey.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
I just have this vision you kind of brought up, Andy. If your car is working with this and you lose your phone and you can't get in your car to go home to find the thing in your locker at home to turn on the phone to get the car going, and then you're screwed.
Well, if you lose your car keys, you're screwed too.
Well, you're not going to have car keys anymore, Leo.
Oh, dude, I just wrote about the digital key standard, actually.
CCC. I put it in the
CCC.
rundown.
Oh, thanks, Ant.
So I was curious to hear your thoughts on it. But anyway, we'll get to that.
But yeah, that's a digital car key, so that's totally different.
Yeah, and I have a digital
passkey,
car key, and it's horrible. I wish I didn't.
Well, this one doesn't work like yours. It's a new...
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
Dog scares her.
So I finally
have a dog. We just want to let you know.
Yeah, just in case you weren't sure. That's all right. Go get... You know what? She might like that sponge you were eating. So this is the passkeys. This is my... You could show this. This is my passkeys interface. So I had already, unbeknownst to me, basically had passkeys. Android devices automatically create passkeys for you when you sign in your Google account. So my Galaxy S23 Ultra, for some reason, has 2 passkeys, as does my Pixel 7. And then this is the one I created this morning, the iCloud keychain. And then I have, and it's in the same space, these are YubiKeys. These are the hardware keys. So
any of those will work?
These are all considered passkeys. So in effect, and I think this to me makes sense, your phone is like a hardware key. It's like a YubiKey. And that makes sense, right? And it has the same caveats and concerns. Don't lose it.
A lot of people don't have YubiKeys. So.
Yeah, and this is easier than YubiKey.
Much easier.
Right. And unlike a YubiKey, I do have one YubiKey that has a fingerprint reader on it, but it doesn't work very well with anything. Don't. So unlike the YubiKey,
is it because your fingerprints get away as you get older?
No, it's
No, I don't have good fingerprints anymore. I can't even come into the country without having to talk to someone.
Yeah, that's why I don't wash dishes. I say, Lisa, I have to preserve my fingerprints.
Nice one.
No housework for me. My fingerprints are all.
So yeah, it wasn't a knock on your age. It was just like, oh, do fingerprints not work?
I like to pretend to be offended. I'm never offended, really. The YubiKey fingerprint reader, it's if it doesn't recognize your finger, then it locks itself out, and you have to launch the YubiKey. It's not a good solution. So in a way, this is better because it is biometrics as opposed to just physically having the phone. The phone also has to biometrically recognize you.
Right.
So I guess it is more secure. I mean, I'm sure Steve Gibson will talk about this on Tuesday on Security Now, but we've talked a lot about passkeys and the problems exporting passkeys, one of them. There's no guarantee that, Apple will let you export your passkeys for use on Android, for instance. But I'm glad. I'll tell you what, Google doing this is a big story because this opens the floodgate. It's been around for months, and a few sites have done it, but nobody really does
Didn't Microsoft do it? Microsoft was part of it.
Yeah, they were part of it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And there is a directory of sites that support passkeys, but here's a dirty little secret of that. Most of the websites that support passkeys took a shortcut and used a third party
of course,
to do the passkey, not their own servers. And so there's some question about whether that's...
How many banks do you see on there?
Oh, none. No bank's ever going to do this. Best Buy, Dinero, DocuSign, eBay, Google Now, Kayak, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Okta, that's a security company, PayPal.
Oh, there's PayPal.
Yep. Robinhood.
That's like a bank.
Shop
I see pastry there. I think it's going to be
Shopify.
a pastry company, but it's not. It pisses me off.
Pastry.
Everything pisses you off today. Babe.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it even has a cake icon as its logo.
That's just wrong.
That's mean.
That's just wrong.
Virgin Media, the world of
ever?
Hyatt, Yahoo Japan, not Yahoo anywhere else, because that's separate companies. And Soho. I don't see any. I don't see B of A. I don't see Chase. And you know what's sad about,
because banks still do bad with just regular 2FA. A lot of banks are still sending out SMS for 2FA instead of.
And the reason they do that is because they have those normal people that you keep talking about, Ant, that can't figure this stuff out, understandably, and they understand getting a text message with a code. And so banks are not going to get rid of that, even though they know it's less secure, because they don't want to handle the complications of. If I could find a bank that wouldn't do SMS, I would do it. But as far as I know, every bank does for that reason. Anyway, you can see there's only 41 sites right now that support passkeys, including Google, Microsoft. Even Apple doesn't. And here's the 1Password passkeys demo. And then this is where you can vote for passkeys support. These are the companies that don't yet support it. Apple, Amazon, Netflix, LinkedIn, YouTube, Disney Plus, Steam, Spotify, Twitter, Reddit, Discord, Instagram, Facebook, Airbnb, HBO Max. None of these supported. Adobe, Venmo, Booking.com, Proton Mail. But you can vote for it.
Wouldn't Apple in particular be for this? Considering how they're always...
Oh, yeah, they're right behind it. Oh, absolutely.
Touting everybody about how bad their security is versus Apple security. It seems like they would be first in line to make sure this is a go.
I think they're watching what happens with Google.
Oh, okay.
It was one of those after you, Alphonse. No, after you.
Yeah.
It was
okay.
Let Google get, and it's right for Google to do this, I think. Let them get all the complications and the complaints and, make everybody feel better. And then I think Apple and Microsoft will do it. Microsoft already has a
Jeff
single
Jarvis
sign-on.
rants.
Yeah. Jeff Jarvis rants. So 1Password is one of the big companies that does this back end support. So a lot of times when you go to a site and they're doing passkeys, they're not even doing it, which I'm not crazy about. So
I don't know. I mean, do you really want Best Buy handling your passkeys?
Right. Well, in theory, it would be good because, all that would be is authentication for their site. It wouldn't give you but now because a centralized thing would have passkeys for a bunch of places, that's more concerning.
Well, but if it's stored in a secure enclave on your device, what is someone like Best Buy actually implementing? Just the encryption, like the PKI, to get the secure authentication between your device and their, like.
I don't know if it's PKI, but I think it probably is something like PKI. So they have something on. They have your public key, and you have your private key, and they make sure that they enter. I'm sure it's something like that. I'm sure it's not like they have everything.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just like, oh man, because I look at all the vendors who I have to give like passwords to and whatnot, and I'm like, and they lose them all the time. I'm like, I don't know if I want something biometrically attached to me out in the world.
That's why I feel like only a hardware vendor with a secure hardware enclave should be allowed to hold private keys, right?
But you mentioned that it could be stored in iCloud, which is a server.
Well, they call it the
else.
iCloud. Yeah, I don't know. They call it the iCloud key. I don't think it is. My understanding is it's stored in this secure hardware enclave on my iPhone in hardware. But were I to get another iPhone, Apple would handle the transfer from this or the copy from this to the new iPhone. But I think each device has its own secure hardware enclave with the passkey. I don't think, despite the name iCloud, it is stored in the cloud. It shouldn't be. It should never be in the cloud.
Okay.
That you're right.
Well,
that would be awful.
Because when you said that, I was like, there's no.
That's what they call it.
There are secure enclaves in the cloud, but
that was the story last week. Was that you were able to move these things to the cloud.
Okay.
This was the big question that came up when Passkeys came out, and Steve and I talked about this. he is adamant there is no company as yet allows you to export it to another company's. You can't go from Apple to Google or Google to Apple. You can go from Apple to Apple to Apple to Apple.
I'm getting information from Mr. Kevin Toffel.
There's the man.
He's sending me a nifty little link, so I'm going to drop this in the chat.
This is probably the FIDO2 spec.
Well, this is Apple's discussion about it.
Oh, yeah, Apple also talks about it. He's saying
to me, Passkeys check if you have the private key locally. No third-party service has it. Okay.
Right.
And so what's in the cloud is just going to be a way to check if you have it.
In iCloud Keychain, passkeys are end-to-end encrypted so even Apple can't read them.
Right.
And this is Apple. It's, yeah.
So it's actually in Keychain, or iCloud Keychain.
Right.
Oh, but then you have to turn iCloud Keychain on, which is a suck, because then you've got to enable all the cloud stuff associated with Apple, which is also a suck. I know you have to do it if you're using an iPhone, but I don't, and I don't want to do it on my iPad.
Right, and so you're going to use some sort of Samsung solution. They have that, Knox Enclave. I think it's going to be very similar, but the question is, can Knox talk to iCloud and Google? And my understanding when we talked about this before is Apple has implied that maybe there'd be a way to export it, but they haven't yet done that. That there is no way to export it to some other platform. And I understand for security reasons, you probably don't want that, right? You want to keep it tied to your hardware. And it's convenient for Apple because then you really don't want to get an Android phone. You just want to, and Google's
That's
doing
what it
the same
sounds
thing.
like.
Yeah, Google's, but they can justify it, right?
Buy an iPhone.
I think, frankly, as much as we lauded this and as much as we know that passwords are terrible, this ain't the solution. And Steve, who created his own similar but better solution called Squirrel some time ago, spent 7 years working on it, has pointed out that was really the problem because he was supposed to be working on something else. and he went to Squirrel. So I don't know if he did it on purpose, but Steve did develop something that he says technically is better, but it's Steve Gibson's solution, not Microsoft, Apple, Google's solution. So I think it's just kind of a non-starter. And honestly, he says, and I think he's right, Passkeys is not as good. But remember, we always make these, just like the banks, these trade-offs between real security and convenience.
So not as good.
Well, not everybody needs real security. I mean, that's the other thing to think about. You gotta assess your risk profile.
Right. You want to protect. Look, if you use Gmail as your main mail account, you want to protect your Google account a lot. You want to do whatever it takes. That's why I have a YubiKey.
Yeah, that's why I have multi-factor and a YubiKey.
And if I could, but I can't, because Google won't let me. If I could, I'd turn off everything but the YubiKey. Maybe they will let me. I haven't tried. I would turn off everything but the YubiKey. And maybe
they just don't want you to call if you use it.
Yeah, that's right. It's the same reason they don't do end-to-end encryption on Google Authenticator. Remember last week we had the story, Steve Gibson was talking about this as well. The Google Authenticator will now synchronize between phones, to which a company called Misk pointed out, but that's not encrypted. So, and Google said, that's intentional because we don't want a lot of phone calls about I lost my secret keys. This is always the equation. This episode of Tech Break is brought to you by ACI Learning. Join an engaging IT learning community with ACI Learning and IT Pro. Hey, congratulations to Don Pizzette, IT Pro's co-founder and original edutainer, and the entire TechNado team for their 300th podcast. Good going, guys. Get your standard or premium IT Pro membership by using the code TWiT30 at checkout for 30% off. Check out go.acilearning.com/twit to learn more.